as well. We've got a video to show you, firstly, about working in health as a healthcare support worker with the Trust. Now, bear with me because actually I have quite a few problems with technology when we do, I'm just going to stop sharing there. We do have quite a few problems with technology when we're trying to share video, so please bear with us. If we don't manage to play it, what we'll do is we'll put the link into the chat for you to look at a later time as well. But we're just going to make a start. We're showing you a video with a bit more information about coming and working for the Trust as a healthcare support worker. I'm then going to hand over to one of our fantastic matrons. Julie Allen is with us today. Hi, Julie, nice to see you. Who'll just give you a bit more background about working for the Trust, what we're looking for from the role, what you can expect from us as well, and just why it's such a great career to come into, but some of the realities of the role as well. We've also got Nikki Whitehead with us, who is an associate educator. I get it wrong. Go on, Nikki.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes. Yes, so I'm the associate educator. So basically my job role is to look after you guys once you hit the ward and help you feel settled. If you've got any problems, I can face them with you. From a pastoral point of view as well. So if you've got anything going on, I'll support you from that aspect and clinically as well. I'll come and work on the ward for you and support you from that.
Yeah. Brilliant, thank you. So we're going to watch the video, hopefully, and I'll pass over to Julie and then over to Nikki, who will just give you a bit of background about the support available and the training that you'll be doing if you come and join us at the Trust as a healthcare support worker. Got a bit more information we're going to share with you, including about what the next steps are if after today you want to go on and apply for the position, about what you need to do, and also a bit of what to expect on the day when we are doing the interviews as well. As I mentioned, if you've got any questions, please just pop them in the chat, raise a hand, and we'll come to you as well. But we're going to make a start with seeing whether or not I can actually share this video. So just bear with me for a moment. Can you all see that? I'm going to get a nod, I hope. Nikki, nod. You can see. Brilliant. And then hope you'll be able to hear. No sound. Okay. So apologies, this is the problem that we normally have with the videos, that they won't share the sound for some reason when it's actually there. What we'll do is I'll take the link and I'll pop it into the chat for you to pick up and to look at another time. And do spend the time looking at it because it's a really great video. We're really proud of it. Some of our healthcares, they're talking about the roles, some of the challenges and what they expect, what you could expect from coming and working at the Trust. So really good idea to have a watch of it and just give you an idea about what to expect and also to help you maybe with your preparation for your application and for your interviews as well. So I'll pop that link into the chat for you. But Julie, I'm sorry it puts you on the spot earlier than expected. You thought you had a video to wait for. But if I could hand over to one of our fantastic matrons, Julie Allen, who is going to just give a bit of background about her journey coming through working at the Trust and also just what we are looking for from you out on the wards with our patients. Okay, so if I can hand over to you, Julie, please.
Hello, everybody. Hi, my name's Julie, and I am one of the matrons for the surgical part of the hospital. We have several wards. I have worked in this hospital myself for coming up 30 years in different roles. So I absolutely feel like I know the hospital inside out, and I know the different patients that we get. So the patients that come into the hospital are of all backgrounds, they're of all ages, they're of all different backgrounds, and they've all had very different experiences. And it's my belief that as staff, we also need to come from different backgrounds, different ages, different experiences, so that we can give to those patients what they absolutely need. So talking about the patients firstly, because I believe that the patients should be at the centre of everything we do, and if you were to come and work with us, that's where we would start. We would start focusing on the patients. It is a patient-focused job. When a patient does come into the hospital, they don't want to be there. They're scared. They're worried. They are completely out of their comfort zone. And I think it's a real honour for us to be able to be around those patients at that time in their lives and offer them some real reassurance, support and care. On the wards, when we're working with patients, there's staff nurses, there's physios, there's sisters and deputy sisters and us matrons, but I also truly believe that the patients will interact mainly and connect with the HCAs that are working with them, because they're the ones that are doing the real personal cares. They're caring for them personally. Often if they're incontinent, they'll be cleaning up accidents, which is a super personal thing to have to do for somebody. They will be feeding them, maybe they will be giving them foods, they'll be giving them the hot drinks. They will absolutely be at the forefront of that patient's experience on our wards. So much to the don't tell my other colleagues, but I believe it's one of the most important jobs that we have in our hospital, the patient facing HCAs, and it's an absolute honour to do that job. So I've painted a bit of a rosy picture there. It's a very difficult job to do. It's a very difficult job to do. You're dealing with personalities of all types of different people. You're dealing with really unsavoury things. You're dealing with people. You're cleaning people that have either weed or filled pads with things. You're dealing with people that may bleed. You're dealing with lots of different smells. You're dealing with all sorts of different characters, different patients' families. And I know that Nikki will probably tell you when she speaks to you after being a HCA, and I was a HCA for a long time. It is a really, really difficult job. It's not a job to go into lightly, but the rewards absolutely outweigh anything that you could ever think of doing in any other line of work, I believe. York Hospital is a really small hospital in the big scheme of things. We think it's big in York, but it's actually quite a small hospital, and because of that there's a real sense of community within the hospital. You'll get to know people, you'll recognise faces, and you'll become part of a real community, which is also a way of making you feel really supported. We have a really strong clinical educators team and a real holistic approach to looking after our HCAs. You will be under a ward, an award manager and ward deputies, but above and beyond that, we have like a chaplaincy team that comes round, that not chaplaincy in the religious sense of the word, but Nick and our clinical educators, they are absolutely there to support you with anything that you need to know, or any skills that you need to hone. You will end up becoming really quite close to your team members that you work with. Some days are really, really hard, really sad, really hard, and other days are just absolutely joyful. And you'll go home with a real sense of achievement and feeling that you've helped somebody and that you've made a real difference in their life, actually. You then go around York and people still from a lot of years ago say to me, oh, I remember when you looked after me on this ward or that ward. And you might not recognise them because you're looking after lots of people, but they really remember that point when you were kind to them, you listened to them, and you made a real difference in their lives. And I could go on forever saying about that, but I just can't tell you enough how you will feel at the end of that day when you've made a difference in people's lives. Here in York, we have high standards. We're looking to sort of keep really high standards, deliver really high quality, safe care, and make sure that people, if ever they do have to return to the hospital, feel really confident in doing so because of their previous experiences with us. And the HCAs are pivotal, absolutely pivotal. You're the eyes and ears of the nurses and the senior nurses on the wards, and the patients will come to you before they come to any of us. And you know, we expect you to bring that back to us. You'll know what they're eating, you'll know what they're pooing, you'll know when they last weed, you will know far more than the staff nurses know. And to me, that makes it such an important job. So that's been a HCA really. Has anybody got any questions, any specific questions?
You stunned them, Julie. That was brilliant. Thank you. Really, absolutely everything Julie was saying. They're very honest about what the role is. There are really, really challenging days. Some shifts are very, very challenging in ways you hadn't thought of. But there is that support network there of your colleagues. There is that support network as well of our for the educational associate educators. I'm going to get it right, Nikki. I get it wrong every time. I'm so sorry. Nikki is basically many things to many people, and that's how I think of her rather than a job title. And I know that Nikki's also got one of our fantastic healthcare support workers with her there as well today. So I'm going to hand over to Nikki now, to the pair of you, and Nikki will just talk a bit more about that support and also the training, as well as our healthcare support worker being able to speak with you. Just before she does though, Kat, I can see you've got a hand up.
So I saw that Basharat in the chat also had a hand up, but put it back down. So I don't know if you had a question for us.
Yes, please. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Basharat.
Yeah, please. I wanted to ask, part of the role, she said we'll be so familiar with them, we'll know what they eat and the stuff like that. So does it include that we take vital signs, or it's just about the personal care?
Can I hand over to you there, Julie?
Yeah, so there's lots of different areas in the hospital that you may well end up working in, and some areas the expectation is that the healthcare assistants would take the vital signs, and in other areas we're not actually quite there yet. We are looking currently, because there's a real nursing shortfall, a registered nursing shortfall nationally at the moment. So we are looking for HCAs to expand the roles and be able to help us with the vital signs. Initially, it is the care of the patient, but once you get on top of that, if you've got an interest in doing that, then that's absolutely something that we could look at, and that can happen on wards. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. People progress at different stages, and people are happy to do certain things and not progress to do that. But no, absolutely, Bashra, if you feel that that would be something that would interest you and you would like to progress to, there is definitely a way we can make that happen. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Mike's gone. Sorry, it's muted. Sarah, I can see you've got a question as well. Could I ask you to ask your question to Julie?
Hi. I was wondering if healthcare support workers typically stay just on one ward, or if they rotate between different wards, different departments.
Yeah, so we have two routes with that really. You can be recruited and stay on one ward and become part of one team. At times, when we are short-staffed on other wards, we do take an overview of the safety of the hospital, and we may ask you to move to another ward for the duration of a shift. There's also another route that we can take, and that's a bank route, where you could go on to a bank contract, so that you're not so tied to the shifts that you're given. You can more or less pick them up. And we are moving forward as well with our flexi pools, which is just a little bit more flexible. There's a real move in the hospital at the moment to recognise that the traditional shifts that we did from 7 till 8 we do need to be slightly more flexible in the way that we think, with maybe some mid shifts or some evening shifts or some twilight shifts, and over different wards. We would be open to consider those, so long as there's some flexibility within that. And obviously working in the hospital is a 24-hour, you know, we don't shut at 5 o'clock, and we work weekends, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, all the main holidays. So we do ask that people would do a part of that for us.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, so just as well, I'll just comment then as well that when we do something within the trust, that if you've been in an area where you've been allocated to and you're absolutely loving it, then you stay there. But sometimes people want to have a change. Maybe they've done a bank shift on another ward as well, and they actually find that they really like work on that ward. You have to have been in a post for at least 6 months, I believe it is, but there is the opportunity to transfer between areas as well, between the hospital, within the hospital as well. But that's at least 6 months into the role, because you need to get in and get established and get your training as well. Okay, brilliant. So any other questions for Julie while we've got her? Nope. Oh, yes, Julie. Daniel, please, if you'd like to ask your question.
Hi, I'm just wondering, because I've got dyslexia and dyspraxia, and just wondering how much support would I get in that with doing this job?
Yeah, hi Daniel. So we have obviously, I don't know how many people the trust employs, but we do employ people from all different backgrounds and with different restrictions and all that. So if you were to tell us that, we could match you to a role that suited you and absolutely give you the support that was needed. We pride ourselves on York in giving the support to all sorts of staff members that come to us that need things sorting out to make their job easier.
Yeah.
That it wouldn't be a problem. It's not something that we don't do on a daily basis.
Right.
Hi Daniel, I'm Nikki.
Hi.
We have a couple of people who have dyspraxia as well, and we just spend a little bit more time with you on the
Right.
wards, just breaking things down, just so we know that you've got a good understanding of things. So don't worry about the support from that point of view, because that's what we're here for. So we'll help
Yeah.
you and support you and just work with you until you get a good understanding, and just make sure that you feel confident in what you do. So please don't worry about anything like that.
All right.
And
I just
actually,
wanted to double check.
yeah, and actually, Daniel, you could bring that lived experience from you
And
to
we'll
our
learn from that.
patients and our other members of staff. So that, you know, it's a real gift for us really to have people from all different types and areas and all sorts of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Evie, you're muted again.
Sorry, if only there was a mute button in real life, hey. So Taiwo, I can see you got your hand up to ask a question as well. Taiwo? You're muted, so we can't hear you if you're asking your question. If you'd like to ask your question to Julie.
Hello,
Hi, Taiwo.
Hi.
Hi.
everyone. Yeah, I wanted to ask a question about the bank contract you mentioned. Julie,
Yeah.
if you are employed as a full staff, are you allowed to, is it the automatic conversion to a bank staff, or there's a procedure that needs to be followed?
Yeah, so if you are a substantive member of staff, I believe it's 6 months, is it, that you have to work on the ward, and then it's a dead easy procedure. You just fill in a form, and you can become a bank employee as well as your substantive post as well.
All right, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Great. Thank you, everyone. So I am now going to hand over to Nikki. But if you have got any further questions, again, please raise your hand, pop it in the chat, and one of my colleagues will come to you, or we will direct you to the right person. Okay, so if I could hand over to Nikki, and I'm not sure who you got with you. Sorry, I didn't catch the name there.
This is Donna. So
Hi,
Donna's one of
Donna.
our
Nice to meet you.
lovely little healthcare assistant, healthcare support workers now, what
Brilliant.
works across the surgical floor. So I'll speak a little bit about what I do and what support I can give you guys first, and then I'll hand over to Donna as like a day in the life of the healthcare assistant. So the job role that I'll just talk a little bit about your job role. So our expectations of when you come in after you've had your week of induction, we'll come and meet you on induction because there's 5 of us in the trust now. So whatever area you go to, you will be allocated one of us. But I think this one is for surgery. So you'll have me come into surgery, I'll be your associate educator. And basically my job role is to support you guys when you come onto the wards. And just like I say, help you find your feet. If you've got any issues, if you've got any problems, and if you want to do any further learning, us as clinical educator team can support you in that as well. So after you've been in the trust and you've got your fundamentals of care, and you're at a good baseline, because you are mainly as a healthcare support worker, your job role is sort of around the fundamentals of care of the patient. So we need to, wherever ward you go to, you will be expected to be washing patients, feeding them, toileting patients, dealing with some sort of bodily fluids, and helping with drains, mobilising. So anywhere you go on the surgical floor, that's what you'll be expected to do. But then also, whatever area you go to, you'll learn a speciality on top of that. So we have a vascular ward, we have a general surgery ward, which is stomas. So you'll learn a lot about stomas and abdominal wounds. We've got an admissions ward, so you can admit people and you can do observations then. A healthcare support worker is part of their job role is to do admissions and observations. But you would do that after obviously you've done your fundamentals of care, because that's like the baseline of everybody. So we need everybody at a good baseline before we do anything else. So and then we also have vascular. We have a urology ward, which is a lot of catheters and urology problems, kidney problems, nephrostomy. So you've learned a lot about that. We have a trauma orthopedic ward, and we also have an off ward, which is broken hip. So if you love elderly people, that's the ward to go to. But you will get elderly everywhere as well. So if depending on where you go, sorry guys, it will be our age range on most wards is from 17 to 100, but like I say, elderly is everywhere. So you are probably going to get like pad changes. Your expectations will be pad changes, dealing with bodily fluid and helping and mobilising people and toileting everybody. But like you say, we'll support you in that, and we'll work with you. So I'll pass you on to Donna, so Donna can tell you a little bit about the day in the ward.
So we come in, we have the handover, we greet everyone, we'll do the breakfast run, make sure everyone's fed and watered, get them to the toilet, get them washed and dressed. That can sometimes take a good few hours, depending how busy they are, depends how needy patients are, because some take a lot of time. Sometimes we'll do wound redressings if they're just small ones, like cannulation and blood taking and all that sort of thing. Once they've had a bit more training, we tend to do observations if the nurses need an extra hand. And then once we've finally finished doing all that, we then go on to do lunches, and then it all starts again. It's really fun though. We get to meet so many different people, and there's so many different personalities in the wards. All the different wards are so much fun as well. Like every day is a busy day, and you learn something new every day. And then it carries on until 8 p.m.
So some of our shift types are, so on the wards the expectations are from an early shift. We have 4 shifts. So we've got an early shift which is 7 till 3. We have a late shift which is 12 till 8, sorry. And then we have a long day which is 7 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, and then your night shifts are usually 7:30 while 7:30. But like I say, depending on what area you go to, and it's up to your ward manager's discretion, there could be a little bit of flexibility if there's like no other option for you to work around. So does anybody have any questions about the wards? I can't see any hands or anything, Evie, so if anybody puts their hand up.
No, can't see any hands coming up there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on and just do a very brief presentation now, which picks up on some of the things you said, Nikki, and certainly what Julie was saying, but very much what you were saying there about shifts and things like that. So I think if we do the presentation, some people might then have some questions to ask you around those sorts of areas. So I'm just going to share my screen with you with the presentation we've got to go through. Just bear with me. There you go. Can you all see that? Nikki, nod for me. Brilliant. Good. Thank you, Nikki and Donna. Thank you very much. Okay, so we talked, got some really great insights there from Donna, and thank you very much for coming today and talking about the role and what a typical day might look like, if there is such a thing as a typical day, because I would say there isn't. But some of the things you might just come across, and Julie and Nikki, and speaking, and Julie was speaking very passionately about just why this role is so important. And you might well be the person that a patient comes to, as opposed to, one of the nurses or the charge nurses or sisters, or if they see the matron on the ward, because you're the person who is with them the most, that they are going to see the most. You're the person who makes them comfortable. You might well be talking to their relatives as well while they're visiting, as well as the patient, in a really scary time. Nobody chooses to be in hospital. This can be really frightening for them, and you are the person they see reassuring. You notice the little things that make a difference. The teas have gone round and somebody just can't reach that cup of tea while it's hot, or can't, their phone charge is going and the phone needs to be charged so they can call their loved ones. It's like, you will notice these little things that make such a difference to our patients' experience when they're in the hospitals with us. You can spot when something isn't right. You see the most, you support the nurses. There's such incredible teams we have in our wards. And without that team and recognising the key roles that everybody plays, we wouldn't be able to provide the amazing care we do for our patients. You provide support to family and friends, and often you will say that you are the eyes and ears of the ward. You hear and see everything. You are seeing the patients most, and you will notice when something changes. Maybe, Mrs. Ward sat over in the corner has got a bit of a funny colour. You need to go and let your nurse in charge know. You're going to be the person who's going to notice that. And you're a listening ear for the patients. Sometimes they just want to talk. They are frightened. And it doesn't matter what background they've come from. It doesn't matter what experiences they've had. It doesn't matter if they're first or their 10th time in hospital. It's a frightening experience. And you are there to listen and just make it that little bit more reassuring and comfortable than being there. Absolutely key role to the ward. So, somebody asked about what were some of the duties that they might do, were they going to be doing observations or not as a healthcare support worker. Just here for you is just a breakdown of just some, and I'm sure Donna will agree that there's an awful lot more that they do on the ward as well, but just a breakdown of just some of the roles that you could expect to do. And we've broken it down into 4 areas to give you an idea. So we've got administrative, so recording actions and findings, assisting with restocking supplies and equipment, carrying out any assigned clerical tasks as well. We've got some really good systems in that do this now, and I think, is it out on all of the wards now? You've got in surgical, have you got Nucleus rolled out now, Nikki? I believe.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, so this is making a real difference to how patients' notes and records are kept as well, because it's done electronically on a small device. Looks like, well, it is a phone, I think, but it makes such a difference to how things are recorded, and how procedures are not having to be repeated so much. When a patient maybe moves from one place to another, because this will follow through with them when they're moving in different areas in the hospital as well. So you would be trained on using those sorts of things as well, and keeping those really key important notes up to date. If there is something that you would need support within that area, and I know somebody asked earlier, Nikki said that there is that support there, and that little bit extra, maybe we're getting used to doing those tasks as well. Patient care, Julie was talking about, the fact that you will be dealing with bodily fluids. It's one thing you can be guaranteed of when you're working in this role as well. But you're also, you're there and seeing things and maybe escalating any concerns. Encouraging the patients to be independent is such a big thing. It's been a scary time. Maybe they've had surgery and it's frightening to then stand up. But the sooner that they're able to do that safely, and you're encouraging that independence, the sooner it's helping them on the journey to being able to get back home and to their lives and independence at home. Therapy. You'll be trained to do the correct moving and handling techniques, and also and not just for moving them for for personal care, going to the toilet, but also ensuring that the pressure, patients laid in bed very quickly, pressure sores and things can build up, and you're supporting as well in that with multidisciplinary teams. You'll work alongside the colleagues that you see in the ward, from physio, from OT, from occupational therapy, different areas. So there's much multi team working going on as well. And of course, absolutely key, not just because of what's happened, over the last couple of years with COVID, but for all different types of potential infection, you will learn and you will be responsible for ensuring things are followed, procedures, guidelines are followed for preventing any infection spreading through as well in the ward as you go between patients and go between your tasks. So it's a really varied role. No 2 days are the same, and that's just a breakdown there of some of the responsibilities that you would have if working as a healthcare support worker on the wards. Do you want to add anything there, Nikki or Julie, that I've missed? Oh, can't
No,
hear you,
I
you're
think you've
muted.
covered quite a bit.
Have I? Fantastic, good.
Um,
Waffle too much is normal. Anyway, Julie,
I
was there
waffle, I'm just
Julie, was there anything, or Donna, that you wanted to add? Are you happy? Yeah, as an overview, just a rough overview.
I think it's really important that you get to know your patients, because it makes it so much easier to recognise when they
Yeah.
do deteriorate, or if they do. We had a woman a few weeks back, and she was fine and really perky one morning, and then she deteriorated really quickly. And we're like, oh my god! And it was really quite dramatic. Unfortunately, she did pass away, but the team was so kind and so helpful. We had a nice group chat afterwards. You know, you do see the sucky things, but you know, most of it is really quite nice. But the support you get here is just epic. Like the amount of times I've come in and I've just cried. Like, can you just give me a minute? Need to vent, or you know, the team's great. It's like a big family.
It is, and that is whatever ward you go to, I will genuinely say they all are lovely, and they will become like a little family to you. And they'll support you through anything. So it is a lovely place. And can I just add to the fact of like what Donna said on top of that about you recognising when patients are deteriorating? That is a massive thing. And I think because you're working with that patient all the time and you do get to know them, you will be the first eyes and ears of that. So you will be like, actually, today Shirley's not eating and drinking as much, and that's not like her. She usually loves the food, and that just the smallest little change like that can be the first sign of something. So you guys escalating stuff like that, that's like the first thing that you do, isn't it? So you are the eyes and the ears of everybody, but it's not scary, I promise you. Please don't be freaked out by it, because it is lovely. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And if you've had a long-term patient and then you see that patient get better and you watch them through that journey from becoming,
emotional. It's lovely.
it's really, really lovely.
Come back and visit.
And they do. And they always come back and get you a little card and some chocolate.
Brilliant. Thank you. So, what are we looking for? Now, you know, to stress, and I'll talk about your application in a minute, that you really need to stress about your care experience and the 6 months care experience, minimum 6 months that you've had there, and really, really stress about your experiences there. What I would say, though, is that the role of a care assistant in a care home is very different on a ward for many, many reasons. Wards are busy, wards are fast, and patients are, you know, you're seeing different people every shift that you're going to come on. It's not like going into the care home where, you know, the work that you're doing is amazing and absolutely, you know, absolutely needed for those residents there, but it is a difference. And sometimes people think there is, oh, you know, I'm a care assistant, a care home, it's going to be the same in the ward. It's not. It's really, really different. We need to see that you've got that care experience, but don't worry about the practical skills. We can teach you things that maybe you haven't done in your existing care experience, or maybe you're done differently in a hospital environment. We can teach you those. What we really want to see in your interview is your personal, attributes coming across. Why do we want you there with our patients at that really scary time, or with their family? Why would we want to be working alongside you on a really difficult, challenging shift as our colleague? You know, we want to see those behaviours coming across as well in your interview. So in your application, absolutely get in about your care experience. In your interview and also in your application, get across about what it is that makes you want to do this work. Why are you committed to putting the patient first? How can you show us, give examples of when you've been compassionate, caring, you know, your strong communication skills? Have you had to change the way that you speak to somebody? Give an example of where you have, you know, absolutely shown you've gone above and beyond to make sure that that patient or that resident where you are now, their experience is the best it could be in the circumstances. Show an understanding of the role, show about you being professional, honest, reliable, polite and tolerant. When you do your application, talk about your care experience and back it up with examples of where you have shown these behaviours. As I said, and Nikki, I know will absolutely back me in this, you can be taught to do those practical things you don't know how to do now, or to do them the way that we do them within the trust. We can't teach you to care, and this is what we really need to see throughout your application. Think about our trust values there, which are at the bottom there. Kindness, openness and excellence. We are looking through these throughout the recruitment process. So I can't stress enough to you how important it is to stress, yes, you've got that care experience, but back it up with examples of where you show these values and these behaviours. So what happens next? Our advert is out on track on our website and on NHS Jobs. So you need to complete your application on the track system. And again, as I've said, make sure you talk about your 6 months care experience. Bring into that where you show our values as well. The advert closes at midnight on Sunday the 24th of September. So that's this Sunday. It'll then be shortlisted by some of our senior nursing team. And if you are shortlisted, you will receive an email inviting you to book your interview time on the 2nd of October. Now, the interviews will be held on the 2nd of October at York Community Stadium. And when you come, just a breakdown of really what you can expect on the day. When you arrive, there'll be our welcome desk, and we will need to check your ID as well to make sure we haven't met you before. And ultimately, patient care is at the centre of everything we do. We need to make sure you're the person you're saying you are. So please bring some photographic ID with you. You'll then be provided with an overview of the day, and you'll have an opportunity to meet and speak with representatives from the hospital. So there'll be people there from the surgical, I can't call them care group anymore, but from surgical services that we provide, who'll be able to talk to you about life on the ward. Because while they all come under surgical, each ward is very, very different as well and covers many different things. Different sizes, different treatments that patients are having. So you'll have a chance to talk to those wards, talk to the people who work on those wards. We'll also have our work-based learning team and our fabulous associate educators like Nikki there, who will be providing demonstrations and about information about what learning support you can expect in the role. You'll have your interview time at the time that it was booked. This will be with members of our nursing team, and it'll be a one-to-one, it'll be a panel. You'll be just you with a panel of 2 nursing team representatives. I must say, please try and relax, okay? There are no tricks or surprises. Interviews are frightening. Nobody likes them, but we haven't dug any bear pits for you to fall into or anything like that. We want to see the best of you. Please try and relax as well. Okay, and then once your interview's over, one of the recruitment team will then talk you through what happens next. We won't be able to tell you on the day whether or not you've been successful, but they will talk you through when you can expect to hear from us and what would happen post, if you were successfully offered a post with us as well. Okay, so that's what to expect on the 2nd of October. And just to confirm some of the things there that both Julie and Nikki and Donna were saying about our shift patterns, it's good to know about our shift patterns. So you've got your earlies, your lates, your long days and your nights. All training provided, and you'll be supported to complete your care certificate during the probation period. If you already have a care certificate or maybe have elements that you feel could already apply, it might be that you need to then be referred to our work-based learning team, who will be able to talk to you about what your training is going to look like. You will still need to do training, and then there's statutory mandatory training to do as well, of course. But if you have got a care certificate, talk to us if you are successful, and you'll be able to speak with work-based learning about how that then looks for you for your training. If you are successful at interviewing you offered a healthcare support worker position, you will be required to attend an induction for the first 4 weeks that you're in post. Nobody goes straight onto a ward. Nobody's included in the numbers. You are in doing 4 weeks training, and that is full-time Monday to Friday. It is not negotiable, I'm afraid. It's part of the job offer that you need to be able to attend for those 4 weeks. And those 4 weeks will be a mixture of classroom teaching or working or training on one of our training wards, but also out in the ward as well, but not be included in the numbers. Not until you've completed your training and you've got everything signed off, your competence signed off, would you be included in those numbers there. But it is a requirement that you are free to attend for those first 4 weeks, and it is full-time Monday to Friday, even if you were going into a part-time post. Okay, so something to think about before you apply. Would you be able to commit to that? And also, due to current Home Office guidelines, we are not able to sponsor this role. Okay, this being a Band 2 role, we are not able to sponsor. So if you are requiring sponsorship, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to do that for you. Okay, so just a few things there. And also just to make a note there about key contacts. So we have a telephone number and email that are dedicated to our healthcare support worker recruitment that are there. Bank recruitment is done through a different team, not through ourselves. We work very closely with them, but they would process any bank recruitment that's taking place. So if you are wanting to be considered for a bank contract rather than a substantive, these are the contact details that you need to take. Please don't apply to the advert we have out for the 2nd of October interviews, because we are interviewing for substantive permanent posts on that date. Okay, great. So let's just see if we've got any questions following that, and I'll just check with my colleagues. Have I missed anything? I've got Amanda with me today, my counterpart over in York. Amanda, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think you've missed anything there.
Okay, brilliant. Daniel, I can see you've got your hand up again. How can we help?
Yeah. So with the 2nd of October, I am working on the 2nd, and I just need to know if I can get the morning, a morning interview, or I don't know, because I'm at work at 12.
Okay, so what would happen is that if you apply and you are successfully shortlisted and invited for
Yeah,
interview, you would need to log on and book your slot, and there should hopefully be a morning one available. The quicker you are, the quicker you're going to get one of those
yeah,
morning slots, would be my advice. If you then find that you go on and you are unable to book a morning slot, contact us on that telephone number or that
yeah,
email, and we'll speak to you about maybe a way that we could accommodate it if you were successfully shortlisted. Okay,
yeah. Because
but
I'm free the next day, but I don't think you
we're
guys
not.
will do. No.
No, we were just doing it on the 2nd of October. But if you are, do apply, get shortlisted,
Yeah.
try and get on quickly as soon as you get the email saying, we'd like you to come for an interview, book your slot. If there is a problem, get in touch with us though, because we would, we'd try
So
and work with you to find a solution.
yeah. So I've applied already,
Hmm.
and it it's you said it ends on the 24th.
Sunday at midnight, yes.
Right, that's fine. And then after that, I should, if I get shortlisted, I should get the email.
You'll get an email asking you to book an interview slot, or an email saying, unfortunately, you weren't successful this time.
Right, that's fine.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Daniel.
you.
Does anybody else have any questions at all? Oluseun, you got a question I can see there. Hi, do you want to ask a question? Oh, you're muted at the moment. We can't hear you.
Hello again.
Oh, okay. So we've got Oluseun. Hi, you wanted to ask a question because we can't hear you. You're muted. I'll come to you in a moment, Basharat. Oluseun, are you able to type your question in the chat? And we'll come back to you because I think we've got a few problems with the sound. Oh no, you're unmuted now. Do you want to try talking? Oh no, you're muted again. Oluseun, do you want to try writing it in the chat, your question, and we'll come back to you? Okay. So Basharat, well, just while Oluseun is writing, can I ask you to ask your question, please?
Thank you very much. Yeah, my question is that does this session include vacancies in other parts of the clinic apart from the other part of the hospital apart from the ward, like maybe the imaging session or the laboratories? Thank you.
Okay, this is specifically today for vacancies as a healthcare support worker on the wards. If you were interested in applying for one of our laboratory assistant posts, you would need to apply directly onto the vacancy on our website through the track system. So today, this is purely information for the healthcare support worker posts.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for your time. That was invaluable. Really great to see you.
Lovely to meet you all, and hopefully our paths will cross again soon.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. So we've got Oluseun Francis. Hi, you've still got your hand up. We don't have a question. You're muted. We can't hear you, unfortunately. Can you unmute?
Hello, can you hear?
Hello. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's my pleasure to have this session with you. It's great. Yeah, my question is about the interview coming up on the 2nd of October. It's very similar to the question asked by Daniel some minutes ago. So, currently I work with NHS, Surrey and Sussex, and patient is first thing first, and I'm on duty on that day. So I don't know what I can do because on my rota I have to be at work on the 2nd of October.
And
Secondly,
Surrey's a long way away. I grew up in Surrey, so I know it's a long way away. So what I would recommend is if you get in touch with us, if you go ahead with your application, if you're looking at relocation to the area, if you go ahead with your application, we cannot guarantee it, but we can look at whether or not we could support another way for the interviews. We obviously can't interview on the day, and I don't know whether or not remote interviews are being offered or not. We'd need to look into it. But if you submit your application, if you're still interested in the post and relocated to the area, then and then get in touch with us and say that you're not unfortunately able to come on the 2nd, and we will let you know whether or not we are able to. I don't know at the moment whether or not remotes are being supported. Amanda, do you know?
Yeah, I don't think we're able to offer remote at this point, but we will be looking at another session later down the line, and
So
we can put you on the list to invite you into that, which will be a bit more notice at that point.
Yes. Okay. So apply, get in contact, let us know, and it might be a later date we're able to offer you a remote interview. Okay.
All right, that's very fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Basharat, I can see you got another question for us.
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay, no problem at all. No problem. Do we have somebody else with a hand up? I think that was, oh no. Okay, we have somebody else with us. Is it Adiola? You've got a question for us?
Thank you very much. I want to ask, I don't know, I know it takes a while to get into the recruitment processing and all. I don't know how long it's going to take for the training, because for us to be, if I'm shortlisted for the interview, for instance, and I've been offered the position, that means I need to be committed 100% right from the induction period. Does that mean right from the induction, the employment has kick-started, or I don't know? And I need to know if it's a very fast one or it's going to be for months before it gets processed. Thank you.
So are you meaning how long does it take from the interview being offered to you then starting with the induction?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we will try and process those checks. If you are offered and you're allocated to a ward, we would start your pre-employment checks, and we would go through those checks as quickly as we can for you. You would then be booked onto the next induction available. So we would talk to you. One of our team would then speak to you about when the next induction is, your 4-week induction is happening. And so when you need to fully commit from, and that fully commit to those 4 weeks. Now, how long those checks take, we will try and process them as quickly as possible, but we cannot guarantee, because some of those things are out of our control. So for example, you would be having an occupational health clearance, and if something came off on that and that they need to do more exploration with you, that could take longer. How long it takes for your references to come back from your referees. The one that quite often causes delays is DBS, because the role requires an enhanced DBS with a children's and adults barred list. And sometimes that can take time, not because there's something on there that they're finding, not because you've done anything wrong, but we are finding that DBS checks are taking longer, particularly at stage 4, where it's going through the police records at the moment. Now, I've had one recently that went through within a few days. However, we have others that are taking 2 months to maybe go through, and it's completely out of our control. So we would not advise you to hand in your notice until you're through all of your checks. And then we would say, we can arrange a start date, and we can talk to you about when that next induction is running and able to book you onto it, so you know when your start date is going to be, and you've got to fully commit to that 4 weeks of the induction and then into the hours that you have been offered in post. Okay, does that answer your question? Brilliant. Thumbs up. Thank you. Basharat, you have another question.
Yes, thank you. Presently, I have an offer with the trust on a bank role,
Hmm.
and I currently completed my onboarding process, the pre-employment checks. So I just want to ask, should in case this is successful and I got the offer, will I go through another employment check, or it's transferable kind of?
Okay, so
Okay.
you haven't started on bank at the moment. You've just
No,
been through
but
your checks. You're waiting to start. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to a colleague of mine now, Nikki or Amanda. I don't know if you want to talk about the bank to substantive, because I can't remember. Is it 6 months you need to have been in post to move from bank to substantive as a healthcare
So yeah,
support
so
worker?
if you came onto our ward, we usually ask for about 6 months before you can move to bank, but I think they need 6 month care experience as well just for you to join bank. So
Yes.
if anybody was thinking of just joining bank, you need at least 6 month care experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, from substantive to bank, it's 6 months at the ward's like. But it's up to your ward manager's discretion, but they do say 6 months.
Yeah, and also the other way as well, I believe, Amanda, that you
Yep.
could require to go from bank to so if you continued now and started your bank process, Basharat,
yeah.
you would work on the bank for 6 months, and if everything went well, you could then request to move from a bank to a substantive contract without doing the interview or anything. We've seen you on the wards. You need to have spoken to one of the wards who would be happy to take you on a permanent contract as well. And if they're happy and you've been there 6 months and there's been no issues, you would just move from a bank to a permanent contract. What you could do though